Look, welcome everyone. Welcome to Next Opp Social. We're so excited to have our incredible guest here, Ms. Chryssy Robinson. I'm not gonna steal any of her thunder. I'm gonna step aside and allow her to tell her story and talk about all the wonderful work she's doing here in the community, the impact she's making. And I know this is gonna be like invaluable. I've been like rubbing my hands together, like, yes, I'm gonna get some good stuff out of this. But as always, you know why we do this, right? We believe entrepreneurship is empowerment. And it's the surest way to help individuals take control of what happens at their kitchen tables. And if we can help people take control of their kitchen tables and build businesses, become employers, and they can also take control and have agency what happens in their neighborhood, right? If you're employing the block, your neighbors, your family, your friends, you determine what happens on that block. So we're about that life here. And look, our desire ultimately is to inspire people and equip everyone who's listening to this with the tools to go out here in the world and make a living while making a difference. And so it was for that reason that I was very persistent in catching up here with Chryssy. I was immediately impressed by this young lady's work ethic. And it's like she is like a well of ideals. And so it's wild. I cannot wait for individuals to learn more about what it is you're doing. I know you're going to make like an incredible impact here in the entrepreneur ecosystem. We're so blessed to have you. So Chryssy, talk to us. Give us a little bit of your background, how you got inspired to get involved in the digital marketing arena. Give us, what was the genesis of it all?
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take you through my background. And I think it's important because especially for Black and Brown creatives, I did not start out this way. I didn't even know what graphic design was, not even the slightest clue. I went to school for business management and computer information systems. So I got two bachelors, I'm sorry. And with that, my first job right out of college was at a huge Fortune 500 tech company that we all know and probably love, but I won't say their name. And it was one of the greatest experiences for me because I had a great leadership. When I first started, I had great leadership. They gave me a Mac and told me I could have whatever I wanted on it. And very bravely, I said Adobe Photoshop. Had nothing to do with my job. I said Adobe Photoshop. And from that point on, I was creating small little things and I would test myself. And at the time I was running this business as well as a event planning business. And so every project that I would get from someone, I try to do something different. Okay. And so it's important to know I am 100% self-taught, and it's crazy and still baffling to me because I teach people now, which is really weird. Like I had to teach myself, and then now I teach people who actually went to school for it, just teaching them some of the principles and how to put the user back into design and think about the problem you're solving. So that's essentially what I do as a brand strategist. So now I run a creative agency. We offer social media marketing, we offer web design, and then just general creative services, graphic design, business cards. We do large print materials. We're working on a trade booth right now for a client that costs like $3,000. He's getting it printed and all this fun stuff. So we do all of that. And then I myself, as the brand strategist, people tend to want to use my brain. So I offer consulting with one-on-one clients. So that's essentially what I do. Where I started, did I think I was going to be running my own business? No. Did I think I was going to be running a business? Yes. Did I think I would work for myself full time? No. And that journey has been a great one, but definitely a challenging one. So I don't want to sell people the Kool-Aid and make it think it's all like great, but it has been a challenging journey, but 100% worth it. So
I mean, how did you make the transition into it? Because I'm listening to you, you were doing a lot.
I was.
But I'm listening to you and it sounds like it was very organic. Like it wasn't one of those situations where you were sitting down, I'm going to start this business 2-3 years ago, reverse engineer it, boom, 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 I'm in business. I'm not hearing that from you at all.
Nope. So the business started in 2014, and it actually, you see this Batman in my background?
Yeah.
For those who are listening, there's a Batman behind me that I painted. It's a mural that's all, painted and got little actual sprinkles on it. I started doing little stuff like that. It's Batman eating a donut. And I would sell them on OfferUp because at the time I was not a graphic designer. I was just a designer, a creative, right? And I call myself the jack of all trades, and I would just do anything you wanted me to do. But I still had the brand name Color Addict. So once I got into the digital space, I did my first website, and I charged like $150 and a sew-in. It was like a hairstylist. She wanted to trade and give me a little cash. So we did that. I actually did really good, and I was very proud of myself. And then from there, I just kept building my skills, and I thought I wanted to do event planning. Mind you, this whole time I have other jobs supporting my day-to-day, but I tell people all the time, there was never, ever a point where I had no clients. I have never had the issue of where do I find people? I've always been a personable person looking for opportunities, always been me. And so from that entire, let's say the first 3 years of business, I had another 2 businesses that I was running and working full-time at this tech company. And situations went haywire at the tech company. It was messing with my mental. I work really hard, and I love really hard. Like when I'm working with people, like I love my team. I really devote to my team. My people are my people. In this situation at this particular job, I was on a different team. It was really starting to affect my mental health. So once I made that transition, and it was not, what am I trying to say? It wasn't me. I got let go. So once I made that transition, I made a decision. I told myself, Chryssy, I'm gonna give you 3 months, and I want you to replace your full-time income in 3 months. Meaning I want to make what I was making at this job, not whatever the extra money I was okay with. I want to make what I was making monthly at this job using my own, blood, sweat, and tears. I did it. But I killed myself doing it. Literally, I was working constantly. And so the challenge for the next 6 to even 9-ish months became not so much can I do it, but how can I do it without killing myself, right? How can I do it without, staying up super late, getting up super early, literally working around the clock? How can I be more efficient? How I like to say it now, how can I produce more with ease? And so that's became my whole mantra, and that's where I am today. So fast forward now 5 years, and this kind of just happens now much more organically. I tell people who are just getting started, it gets easier as those previous customers send you people. I'm nowhere near doing the same connections and stuff that I used to. I just kind of get business now. So if you can stick out and just keep putting yourself out there and look for opportunities, you'll be fine. I can usually tell who's going to make it and who won't, within a 30-minute conversation. So
it's amazing, right? When you've done the dirt, you get a nose for it, right?
Yep.
I like it.
Learn the skills, because you definitely can. I think some people naturally just have it. They just naturally are business minded and enjoy connecting with people, where some people have been led to believe that business is hiding behind a computer and posting some products, and people are just going to land on your website magically and pay you lots of money. Some people really believe this, and those types need a lot of nurturing. They need a coach. They need someone to constantly pull them out of what they believe is real. So
that's interesting that you say that, right? Because they say if knowledge was really all was required to be successful, right, the professors would be all billionaires, right? And for me, when I'm making an assessment, even in terms of people whom I want to work with, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're working, quote unquote, on my staff and my sales team, even people who I want to partner with, oftentimes I'm not really paying much attention in terms of their skills. That's kind of like that's last, right? When I'm really taking inventory of, does this person have work ethic? Like, do they have burn and desire? Is there fire in their belly, right? There's a saying that I've heard all the time that if you want to see how far they'll go, test their IQ. And what they really mean by is their I quit, right? What will be required to make you quit? I pay really close attention to those things. Like, are you really, really willing to pay the price, right? And then for me, listening to you is fascinating because I can see the connection between everything you were doing. I mean, you were basically the plug. for
Mm-hmm.
stuff in your ecosystem. So all you did was just organize it, right? That's what you are. You were the plug. I'm listening to it. I'm like, okay, I get it now, right? But I look for consistency and integrity. When I say integrity, I'm not always talking about, from a moral standpoint. I mean integrity of your behavior and your actions, right? If I talk to you 2-3 months from now, don't tell me that you're in a new business endeavor, doesn't meet your skill stack, doesn't meet your knowledge stack, has nothing to do with what it is you do. And then another 4 or 5 months from now, you're chasing something else, right?
Yep.
It's those little things that give you a lot of insight in terms of whether or not a person has what it takes to be successful. And of course, there are a whole bunch of other elements too. But I thought it was fascinating you mentioned that.
Yeah, I
Right?
call it death by pivot, right? If the person who's
Yep.
constantly pivoting, you never stay somewhere long enough to see if it works. You're not you don't you
Right.
have pivot issues. Stick to one thing for just a minute, and you will see it will
Oh
work.
my gosh, man. I'm having that conversation so often with people. It's like, this is what I firmly believe.
Mhm.
That you should not, because people get it twisted, right? Multiple streams of income, right? And I was having this conversation with someone the other day. Now the issue is people don't have streams; they have striplets. They don't have streams, right? They got like 5 and 6 triplets, carrying them in 3 and 4, 5, 6 different directions. And so they're not particularly focused on one thing, and so there's not one thing that's growing, right? And I'm just a firm believer that if you're going to do this entrepreneurship thing, like, it's not for the lazy, it's not for the unambitious, it's not people who don't like to learn. There's a price to be paid to be successful. Now, the juice is worth the squeeze. There's a price to be paid. And if your business endeavors aren't knocking down 6 figures and above, you should not be chasing 4, 5, and 6 other businesses. That means you haven't really got good at that one thing yet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm not saying 6 figures in terms of income you pay yourself. That's a totally different discussion. But you at least want your business to be doing 100K in revenues, right? So you've proven, okay, you can earn enough to pay yourself. Now you're starting to generate enough revenues to kind of pay the administrative assistant, the virtual assistant, okay. Anyway, the purpose of this talk is not to go there. But yeah, that's a real trigger for me when I hear people talking about that. And I know you see it all the time.
Oh, definitely. In my industry, that's literally what I get, because people say, I want to start a business, website, logo, and they sit in front of me. And I'm like, what do you sell? Like, what am I building a website for? Like, what are you doing? And I don't mean to make light of it, because I understand how people think, and they experience a brand and they experience the visual aspects. But people, please remember, you have to understand that strategy planning went into that. It didn't just happen, right?
Right.
Yes, I hear it a
so
lot.
A couple things that I was really intrigued by when I first spoke to you is you mentioned analytics, and that stuck with me, right? Because I'll be transparent. I'm like a lot of entrepreneurs, in the sense that I post content, and for me, I just came to accept, and it is what it is, right? That the likelihood of my content going viral is just not going to happen. I've never had that happen, right? And I'm not upset about it either. I'm good with it. Because I know a lot of people have gone viral and they're out of business. For me, I always utilize my online presence to create credibility. So I know someone's going to look me up and they're going to go to one of my social media platforms. And all I want them to look at is, and the only thing I want them to draw from is, okay, this guy's credible. He knows what he's talking about. He's serious. He's consistent. That means I know, and trust him enough to give him a phone call. If he calls me, I'll give him a chance, right? For me, that's my strategy across all the platforms, right? I just want to accomplish that. For me, going viral would be icing on the cake, right? But I'll be frank, when you start talking about analytics and really having a sound understanding of what content is more effective versus what isn't, or what messaging is more effective versus what isn't, or how to understand like how content plays on YouTube versus how content plays on Instagram versus how content plays on LinkedIn, and all the different algorithms and things, hoops you got to jump through to get the type of traction I think most entrepreneurs are looking for. I'm clueless to that. And I was like, you know what? I need to find somebody that can break this down to me like a third grader. Because I use technology. I don't always understand it. So I was like, when people are coming to you and you're talking to them about analytics and why it's important, how to use it, what does that mean from your side of the table? Like, why is analytics important to a business owner?
So in short, analytics tell the picture of what's happening. But before we get into this, because I got some really great examples I was jotting down as I was listening to you, I just reaffirm exactly what you said, because I need people to hear that. There are people, again, I'm the person that people pay to make them look like they are bigger than what they are. So I'm the branding. There are people, without a doubt, who have thousands of followers. And I'm talking multiple thousands, right? 36,000, 99,000. These are some of my clients who have viral videos and make $0. We are in business to make money, not to be popular. So I just want to make sure that is very clear, okay? So when it comes to, if I'm talking to someone and they are either confused about analytics or not even trying to sweat the analytics, one of my favorite questions is, how do you plan on driving traffic to the site with new customers? No one ever knows. For some reason, people just think people stumble upon site. You too. No one ever knows. They're like, I know I need a site, but I don't know I'm going to get people to it. So here's where you have to, if you are, not even if you're new in business, but if you are new in this space, you got to figure out what works for you. So if you're good on camera, if you have conversations with people, whether that's in person or whether that is, via email, and they're like, oh my gosh, you are amazing. This is so good. Find a medium where you can do that same thing across multiple people. So me, I'm video all day. I send Loom videos for all of my clients, my team members. I probably have, I don't know, more than 1,000 for sure, because we're trying to categorize them right now. Lots of Loom videos. So video is a platform for me and how I communicate. If you are a writer and you can just really get into people's, spirits with your words, then maybe focus on blogs, maybe focus on long form content or showing up in like forums and whatever kind of long form content you can think of. Emails, right, might be a better place. But don't make the mistake of what so many people do. They show up everywhere and they show up everywhere poorly. People do not care that you have LinkedIn and you don't post, or you have a YouTube and you have no videos, or you're inconsistent. People want to show up where you show up. So I always say, pick the platform that makes sense for you. Then on that particular platform, getting into where analytics come about is...
Okay, so hold on, because we got to touch this. Okay. You said something was really powerful, right? Because I know there are a lot of people out there where they won't post, they won't share content because they're afraid of the aesthetics, right? They're afraid that they don't look like money. That's how I interpret it, right? They want to have all the other accoutrements of success of other people who are knocking down 6-7 figures of income. And they're like, well, if I can't show up like this, I'm not going to post, right? And then what I've also seen is the extreme, where I can sometimes tell when someone just posted just to post something, right? There was no rhyme or reason to it. There was no attempt to help anyone. It was like, okay, I just need to show up, so I'm just going to randomly post something and see what happens, right? And that's how it lands to me when I hear you talk about this idea of showing up poorly, right? That I really think needs to be driven home. It's like, no, you don't need to like $1 million, but you need to be purposeful. And you need to be bringing value every time you post. And if for me, I try to do it daily, but I mean, I'm not hard on myself. I don't post every single day. I'm not going to be hard on myself, because the bottom line is, if I don't feel like I'm going to give anything of value today, then it ain't going to happen.
Absolutely.
Right. I want to make sure we kind of like on the same page here, because I'm going to defer to you, because branding, the market, I'm in sales, team building, operations, but that branding, marketing thing, look, I want to hear your feedback on it.
So you do not have to post every day. Unless the only people who need to post every day is if you are a content creator or an influencer. Your sole job, what you do and how you curate potential customers is content, and that's the only time you need to post every day. Okay.
Mhm.
Especially when you're a new business, I tell people focus on sales, not marketing, because they are two different things. Two different things.
Oh my God.
People
Yes.
confuse them all the time. They come to me and say, "Oh, I'm not making sales. What are you doing?" "Oh, I posted on social media." What do you want people to, you want them to see a post and then just go and pay you lots of, that's not how it works. If you
What do
really
you mean
think
it
about
doesn't happen that way? What do you mean it doesn't happen
no,
that
not at all. And it's unfortunate that we have to have these conversations, because there is absolutely no business out here that's successful that doesn't have a sales team. Not
Yep.
one. But how many small businesses don't have a sales team or don't know anything about sales and focus on marketing? Sales.
Oh, my favorite is when I hear them say, "Well, I don't like sales." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what makes me very special and unique is that I have a background in both, right? So not just marketing. I apply a sales knowledge to marketing, and I'm also open and transparent about not conflating the two, analytics / results, right? Let's not confuse.
So what do you believe the difference is? I want to hear your definition. Between sales versus marketing. Yeah, I want to hear it.
Marketing. Oh, I have a perfect analogy I love to use. Marketing is walking in the grocery store and saying, "I have oranges, I got mangoes," like screaming it. And everybody's like, "Oh,
yeah.
Mangoes." Some people are like, "Mangoes, what?" And some people just didn't hear you, right? That's marketing. Sales, seeing someone who has apples or seeing someone who has a bunch of fruit on there, like you scanning, you like, "Hey, I see you like fruit. Let's talk about these mangoes I got." It's more directed. It's more one-on-one. It can be done mass, but it is still, the communication is still about the need. It's a valid purpose. It's not just screaming to the world that you have something to offer. It's making sure that offer fits who you're talking to, like lead qualification. So
right.
That's the best way I like to put it, because it gives people that visual. And if you think about who you are, like, are you screaming in the grocery store, or are you having those really valuable, impactful conversations? You will always see a correlation to what you're doing and how much you make. Period.
Yep.
If you're screaming in the grocery store, your sales gonna be down here. You'll probably still make some sales, because some people are like, "Oh, he got mangoes. Come on with the mangoes. How much?" Some people are gonna be interested.
Yeah.
But if you are over here doing the whispering, you're gonna be fine. You're going to be. Sales has to happen, or marketing, not so much. As a marketing agency, we don't have the best marketing. We're too busy doing it for everybody else. Sales, without a doubt, you can understand that sales is always happening at my company.
So, for me, it's like, I feel like you need marketing at some point to scale. Right? When you make that transition from team of me to team of we, and you need to turn up the volume and create more awareness. But I'm in firm agreement with you. Like, if you're not making sales, it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter. I've seen so many people who are great at marketing. They can draw attention to themselves, and they're popular. And I mean, see people walk into places and everybody knows them. And I know behind closed doors is like they eyeballing their next 2 or 3 jobs. I've seen it happen a million times. I like it. Okay. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to go there. So we were talking about transitioning from the sales, marketing, to now have an idea what you want to do, plan, and then analytics. How does that fall into play?
So I just want to quickly comment on using marketing to scale.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, if you don't have sales, if you don't have a plan on what to do with those people once you get them,
yep.
So what I like to teach, framework I'm toying around with at this very moment, is generate, nurture, convert. So it's a marketing strategy. Okay, this is not a sales strategy, but it does have a sales mindset, because we're focused on the goal here. Okay, so generate is, if you are on social media, this can be YouTube, this can be blogs, even though it's not really social media, but whatever you are doing, have a purpose. Where do you want people to go to connect with you? Have a way that you are building some type of list somewhere, getting some type of repository of people who are interested in what it is that you do. If you are just, you said it earlier, people who are posting here and there, I call that posting and ghosting. If you are just posting, and ghosting, wrap it up. You're actually hurting yourself. Most of these platforms, they reward you for being consistent. You're hurting yourself more than anything. Be consistent at a minimum. So stick to a schedule. Then the nurture becomes, once you get them into your ecosystem, how are you maintaining that relationship? I'm a huge firm believer in follow-up. Follow-up is key.
Yep.
Fortune. It is a sales technique, but it can also be applied to marketing, because it doesn't, when you talk about sales, you're thinking about people who are past potentials, people who are leads or qualified leads. You can do this with on your email list. I very often will stalk people's Instagram and be like, hey, I saw this. They'd be like, oh my God, thank you so much for thinking of me. And I just happen to pick it up right then and there. So you can apply the same mindset into your marketing. And yes, it takes time. And I know what people are saying, oh, that's just so tedious. I gotta look up people, and I call them stalking online. I gotta do all of this work. What else are you doing? If you're not making, this is your job. This is your sole job. This is what you should be focused on, is relationship building and getting, because even if they don't buy from you, they can become your sales team. I had one client that I always use as an example. Before she ever paid me a dime, she sent me 4 people who worked with me. All of the relationship I built with her. And guess where I met her? On Facebook. Facebook groups. She was talking about something. This was years ago. She was talking about something. I can't even remember what it was. I DM'd her. We developed just, conversation over time. And she couldn't work with me. She couldn't afford me at the time. But then she always sent people. And in her mind, I was that thing she was saving up for, right? She wanted to work with me so bad. So you never really know where these relationships will go. And I feel like some people just believe they're above it. And so it's important to, even in this sense, track the analytics, right? Track the numbers. So I think people are confused on like marketing versus sales analytics. And I like to give a couple examples. So when you are building your strategy in either, whether it's marketing or sales or a combination of both, you have to ask yourself, what do I want people to do? Once they see this post, what am I asking of them, right? Is check out a blog post? Is it to subscribe to something? Is it get on my calendar, right? And then you're going to measure that based off of, are they going from point A to point B, right? And then from there, what happens? Like, have an idea of the flow or the experience you want people to take. And that is your analytics. That's the story in which that you tell. And I'm going to give you a really good example.
That is the best way I've heard it explained in a long time.
Yeah, a lot of people,
I really want this to land with people, right? You're basically, what you just said was just powerful to me. Like, you're asking yourself, what is the flow, right? What is the experience from the time they learned about you until they make a buying decision, which doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy, but you need to get them to the point, at least they have the opportunity to make a decision. I love that. Okay.
Yep. So understand, and at each point, understand like what level they are, because sometimes people need different things depending on where they are. So they can just as well be in the marketing atmosphere and boom, cross the path into sales, where now it's time to rev it up. Do you even know what that point is? Right? What's that? Someone's engaging with you, and then now they're a sales actual qualified lead. Like, be clear about that. And those are the analytics you should care about. So when it comes to marketing versus sales, marketing is more focused on likes, hearts or comments, share, saves. That's, none of those things will result in dollars. They are not equal. Whereas the analytics of sales is more on the lines of clicks, converts, money in the bank, booked appointment, right? Like as someone who is in business, we hear like clicks and booked appointments. We hear dollar signs, right? Even if we convert, we have an opportunity to convert. So I think it's important that when you're looking at analytics, you ask yourself, what is the story that I want, the preferred route we want people to take? And all you're doing is testing against that. because with analytics, there's so much to offer. And this is why people don't get into it, because they're worried about everything. Well, Chryssy said, worry about clicks. What is this, website taps, which is technically the same thing, but it's called on Instagram.
Yeah.
But what is this thing over here? Don't worry about it. If it doesn't tell the story that if it's not in the pathway, then it's not for you to worry about. So
yep.
An example is Instagram has a whole bunch of analytics. They keep expanding. They have saves. If you're focused on a marketing strategy, you do want saves. So I will say that, because that tells you that your content is good and people are like, oh, I need this for later. So you definitely want to strive towards saves. It's a good metric. But if you're focused on getting more customers, getting more opportunities or leads, it's not important. Don't be like, oh no, I didn't get as many saves this month. It's not important. So the biggest thing about analytics is understanding what you're trying to do and what metrics will tell that story. So that's how I track it. And like, to boil it down to, I could go through all of them and explain each one, but it's boring, honestly. Unless you're a data person, it's very boring. Very boring.
It's so important though. So, okay. So here's the question I have. Because trust me, I understand what you're saying academically, but in practice, I'm a novice. So, what tools, right? So I have a blog. I know when I get people to my blog, if they read my blog, they're going to become a client. That's just been my experience. Once they go to my blog, start consuming the content, there are links to my blog that will lead them to a questionnaire, a survey, and I can start kind of looking, to see who I want to deal with, right? But here's the thing. So I know how to convert from my blog. I have things built into the things that I write to lead them to me where I want them to come, right? So I can identify and say, oh, you're very interested. But for individuals, like, I'm on TikTok. I started just doing TikTok to play around. That's what I did. I was just like, let me try this out. Do a couple, 1 minute thingies and see what transpires, right? And then I was like, I'm looking and people are liking and saving stuff. I'm getting way more traction on that than I was on Instagram. So I said, okay, let me take the TikTok content and put it on Instagram. No love. It was like no love whatsoever. Then I went from TikTok, I started posting on Facebook, which you already know from talking to me before. I avoided Facebook like plagues. I was never getting traction on there. Now I'm getting all types of traction on there on my business pages. Not my personal page, business pages, right? And then I'll post content. I'll take that same content, and now I notice my YouTube channel is starting to kind of, get some traction going there. But to be transparent with you, if somebody saves or likes my stuff on YouTube, I don't know what to do with that. I'm getting traction on TikTok. I'm not even really trying. I'm just, it's like, I got something to say. I'm gonna talk about it today. I think it can help you out. Okay. It's starting to get traction there. I don't know what to do with those saves. I can see it's being saved. I can see, people liking it and chirping with me. If you chirp with me, then we got something. Right? You start interacting with me, I'll engage with you, and then we develop that relationship. But I don't know what to do with that stuff. What should business owners do with it? So you're getting likes, people saving your content, sharing your content. What do you do next?
I was going to ask you for an example, so I'm glad you said this. So you talked about blog at first. You said this is working, right? I know how to create this blog content.
That's where I started. Yeah, I started out blogging. Yep.
And so you've optimized your blog experience to go in a favorable way for you.
Yep.
Optimize that content. But I guarantee you the first blog you posted, it didn't end in that way.
No, it did not.
So it's going to be the same on TikTok, right? So TikTok, I have a couple questions, but unless you are, like, did you take some blog content and do like a TikTok version of it and get a lot of traction?
So 99.9% of the time, if it ends up in video, that means I read it or I wrote it already.
Okay.
So I wake up every single day and I journal.
Okay.
So I'm either out of conversations like we're having, journal. I'll read something, journal about it. I'll start thinking about a problem that I have or a problem that one of my clients have, and I'll journal about it. Once it's been journaled, it's just the way my mind works. It's locked in the cerebral cortex. I can pull from it like a library anytime. And then when it gets to the point where it's so annoying, I don't want to think about it anymore. It'll eventually make its way into the blog. And then once it makes its way to the blog, then I'm looking at the blog and I'm like, I could take some of this content and create some real short content, bite sizes, and go from there. And then it ends up on TikTok or some other places. And that's kind of like my process.
So for your TikTok, I'm guessing your call to action in the blog is that questionnaire that ends up with some type of booking form
so at the end of most of my articles is like, hey, if you like what I'm cooking here, you can buy me a cup of coffee. So I got the little tip jar thingy. And every now and again, people would put something in the tip jar, and I just kind of watch and observe and see how that's working. And then what'll end up happening is, like, part of my footer is like, if you want to continue the discussion, if you want to have more of a dialogue, or if I've shared something that you believe could benefit and you want more information, you want more assistance, then set an appointment. However, it really does not lead them to set an appointment. It leads them to my questionnaire. And I make it clear in my questionnaire. You don't fill out this questionnaire, you don't get an appointment with me. Right? And that's how I get most of my data.
Okay. Did you do that same thing on TikTok?
I did not. I don't even know how to do it on TikTok. I was looking. So I went on TikTok, and then I read something that said that until you get to 1,000 followers or something like that, you can't even really send people to a link or anything like that. And look, I struggle with how to create thumbnail graphics for YouTube. Okay, that's where I'm at in my process.
Okay.
Like it was like going to the moon for me when I figured out how to do a thumbnail. So when I saw that on TikTok, I'll be frank, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna continue dabbling with this, but I'm not gonna make that my main thing, right? Because I don't know how to put links or whatever it is people do to get people to go to their website or whatever they want them to go. I haven't figured that out.
So let me explain why I asked those questions. So just let's be clear, TikTok and LinkedIn are very easy to get a lot of reach. Okay.
Yeah.
Impressions right now because they're newer platforms who are dabbling in this space and trying to get people. They're independent platforms as well. So like where Google is this big conglomerate who has YouTube, and then there's Facebook and Instagram. These are larger companies who are taking up a lot of space. These smaller ones, which are not small at all, but these smaller ones who are just getting in the game, they have fixed their algorithms where you're going to do better, without a doubt. So the same way I said before, think about what it is you want people to do in ahead of time. So maybe you can't get that link, but maybe it's just posting it just text so that I have a way. Or maybe you posted it in like a caption so that I at least have a way. Same thing on YouTube, right? You can add a link.
I get you. So if you want to connect with me, I put it in the text, or if you want to connect with me, it's in the caption.
Yes, because if you think about it, why your blog is working is because you have somewhere for people to go. Also, just a little asterisk, your blog is also working because they're likely a more qualified audience. If they ended up on your site, that tells me that they've either interacted with you via email, email marketing, or Instagram. Yep. They could have been even from TikTok. We don't know, but it's going to work better because if we think about that funnel, right, and how people get to you, which I hate saying the word funnel. Anything can be a funnel. But if we think about how it gets smaller and smaller here, these people at the top who are they're new in your ecosystem, the more and more you touch them, which we're seeing now is a lot, it's like 6 to 8 touches, right? In order to get people alert into an opportunity, right? The more they get travel down and down, the more likely they are to take action. So if I'm on your blog, I'm already warm. Even if I never even seen who you are, I'm probably came from YouTube video. My thing for you, so a lot of people come to me with the same exact problem, and they're like, this thing over here is working fine, but why isn't this thing working? I'm like, double down on this thing. What are you, double down over here? Why are you even worried about this other platform? Unless you got time and money and effort to waste, go ahead and keep on with the TikTok and stay consistent on there. It will grow over time, but you can develop that strategy as you go. So it's really understanding how these two things, how people get there. I think that's what makes me different, is that I think about the user journey or the customer or consumer.
Yep.
Say, who's on your blog versus who's on TikTok? TikTok, I don't know who you are. I'm swiping, right? And not only swiping, I'm competing with everybody else on TikTok. On my blog, I'm on your blog. I can't get to somebody else's blog from your blog. So it's a whole other mindset here. And we beat ourselves up for the analytics, like, oh, I got 1 million views and no one clicked checkout. It's not intended for you to understand that these platforms, I explain this on almost every talk I do about social
media. They're like
a
casino. They don't want you to get off the platform. They're trying to keep you on.
That costs them. I tell people, think about all these social media platforms as a business, and you will understand how they work. These businesses make money off of ads. The only way to show people more ads is to keep you on the platform for as long as possible, because as you're swiping, you're seeing more and more ads. It is not meant for you, but if you make good content, it will happen. But the intention is not for you to get sales. It's for them to get their businesses. It's not just a free app. And so I like to think of things as like, what's in it for Instagram, what's in it for Facebook, and then I can do really well on that platform. I can develop a strategy that will help me and that platform, because I have that like.
That was such a gem. That was such a gem. Like, what's in it for the platform? Like, what does the platform want to see happen?
Exactly.
Right. And then curating your content, or at least posting your content in such a way to help them achieve their goals.
Correct, which is why I was going to say too, when you were talking about repurposing on YouTube, it's not always going to work that way, because if you design something for TikTok, YouTube now has shorts, which is just like TikTok. If you see these platforms, they imitate each other. Instagram is one of the biggest thieves. They steal everything.
Yeah.
Long captions from Twitter. They stole reels from TikTok, stories from Snapchat, videos. They didn't used to do videos from YouTube, right? You remember old Instagram with just photos? They are thieves. So if you think about what these large companies want, you can then create a strategy that works for them.
So, man, I have a million questions, but I think this piece is so important. What tools? So someone's posting on TikTok, Gram, Facebook, whatever the case may be. What tools for the rudiment? Because this is what I'm thinking about, right? I'm thinking about all those business owners I know who are 45, 50 and up. You probably already know where I'm going with this demographic, right? And they know they need to post. So just getting them to post is a victory. Right? It's a victory just getting them to actually create social media content, understand that if they don't do it, if the epidemic didn't get them, this recession is, right? But then you get them posting and they don't know what tools to use to drive people to their website, or drive people to their shopping cart, or drive people to whatever tool they're utilizing to collect data information and create buying decisions. What tool would you recommend?
To drive traffic to websites?
Or, so for instance, for me, I know I'm going to get to 1,000 on TikTok. It's just a matter of time. I think if I actually just turned up the volume, I could probably get there.
Absolutely.
Pretty quickly. So I know what I'm going to do. As soon as I get there, my blog link is going right in there. And they're going to go to my blog, and they're going to read some really dope stuff, informative, educational stuff. It's for wonks. People are serious. And I'm going to throw some videos in there, just I know people like to see video and all that fun stuff, right? So I know exactly what I'm going to do. But that's just what I do, right? What suggestions do you have to those business owners who have these retail stores, these clothing stores, and they're selling their paintings, and or quite frankly, somebody who owns a dealership, or even a real estate agent? You know what I mean? Like, what tools or strategies do you think are most effective?
You're going to hate me, or they're going to hate me, because the answer is it depends. The best advice I can give someone is, what is your customer doing right now? In this very moment, what are they doing? What are they doing next? Show up there. If it's social media, great. If they're attending trade shows, like the art person, go to some
Mhm.
art and crafts trade shows and make sure you have a way to capture them. A lot of people will do the trade show. That art person, the paintings, they're probably doing them, but they're not collecting
Yep.
email.
No, they're not.
Something similar, simple, like sign up for my email newsletter and I'll put you in a raffle giveaway. And you give a $125 card. And if you think about it, you pay $25 for 100 emails. That's a good value. Even if you get 1,000, depending on the size of the show. So figure out some type of incentive, spin a wheel, whatever you can do to collect information at that place. That is what you should be worried about. Not so much which platform, but there are some. So say, for example, if you were a content creator or an influencer, then I'm going to tell you to show up on that platform and put your best stuff on that platform. Show examples of content that your customers want to see on that platform. Only think about the customer. Be a crazy person about the customer. Be obsessed with them. If you think that they are reading newspapers, show up in a newspaper. Whatever they're doing, show up there. And don't spread yourself thin, because it doesn't matter. They just need to see you once to get into your ecosystem. From there,
now that's interesting, right? Because I hear two schools of thought out here. The first school of thought is show up everywhere. Be everywhere, be omnipresent. You want people to find you anywhere where there's eyeballs, you want to be. And then I hear other individuals who say, no, just focus on 2 or 3 platforms you play really well on and just go in there, right?
Yeah, I like to use logic with mine. So like for me, if you're going to show up everywhere, you're likely not going to show up well. I know how these platforms work. I know how going to events and sales and networking all works, but I'm only one person. I can't be everywhere. It is impossible. Even with a team, I have a nice sized team and I still can't be everywhere. So for me, I'm more about strategy, about value, about quality versus quantity. A lot of people are volume, lots of people. But if all those people barely know who you are because you don't show up, what does that help you? What does that help you? It creates a bunch of people who are moving on to the next person. So for me, I just say stick with 2 or 3. If you're brand new, stick with 1. Be the best Clubhouse person you can be. Whatever the platform is, doesn't matter. Be the best that you can be on that platform. And I guarantee you it will pay off. And when and if it doesn't, which if you're doing it well, it will. Because that's just how these things work. Just like you were like confident in TikTok. I'm going to show up more and it's going to grow. I'm going to get my 1,000, put my blog. It's that simple. Because the more people who show you, the more you show up, the more people who see you, the platform rewards you as well because you're consistent and it knows that you'll be there and that it can continue to show people your content, right? So naturally, if you are showing up in a place consistently, it will do well. It's now about how do you take people from that platform and get them into your ecosystem so that you can market to them, follow up with them, build a genuine relationship. Those are the numbers and the stats you should be tracking.
So this is such a fascinating conversation because before we had this talk, when I would hear the words analytics, my head would explode. Like I would just like, man, numbers, keeping up with all this stuff, but you made it so simple, right? You said something earlier that caught my attention. Like you should not be paying attention to everything. Like you can't track everything when it comes to analytics. You just need to track the things that ultimately create conversion. People who learn about you, you direct them to a particular type of experience where they can make a buying decision, right? And those are really all the analytics that if you are an entrepreneur. I think that's the other thing you just convoluted too, right? I'm okay with, and I've had people say, Juwan, why do you say that? Because it's the truth. Like I'm not a content creator. I'm at a stage in my business where I'm being compensated to create content. I'm compensated for my services and products. And that's what I'm compensated for. So I create content strictly for the purposes of creating credibility and people like, knowing, and trust me, so they'll acquire my products and services. I'm not creating content to go viral because that's not how I'm paid right now. Now, if it happens, so be it. I'll thank you, right? But I think a lot of people get that convoluted, right? Because they see all these people with 200,000, 500,000, million followers. They're earning money from the social media platforms. And they're like, well, why is it that I can't get that same resonance? It's two different things, being an entrepreneur that utilizes social media versus being someone who actually makes their living by being on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. It is unfortunate that the ones who are saying these things, they're the loudest. Because they are the ones who are creating content to get compensated. So they're the loudest, they're the ones you see the most. They're not the ones that people don't understand what options they have, because people like you and me are like, I'm not pressed, right? I'm gonna do this thing over here and provide the value for those who I serve. But I want people to understand that there are people out here who are complicating business so that they can sell you the solution. Understand that. I like to
that was invaluable.
Yes, they are literally out here telling you it takes 10 steps to make you get a 10K client or get your first high-paying client. There are people out here that are making it so complicated so that you can take their $6,000 course. That is their goal, and they're doing a great job at it. But understand, it doesn't take that. I can tell you, it doesn't take that.
So I know your schedule. So I know I got like a finite amount of time with you. So I got to get this in, because you said something, I think 2 weeks ago, that caught my attention. I start cracking up. I'm trying to think. I have a book that talks about it too. Where is it at? Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately thought about that book when I was listening to you, and you were talking about how you have capacity, and there are people who do this, right? They'll take someone who really doesn't have a real value prop, really isn't, I mean, they're really not making an impact. But you have the capacity to take those individuals and make them seem bigger than life, and make them seem like they are like the Oprah Winfrey of whatever market category they're in, and make them look like, I mean, they're the bee's knees, right? Like they're just crushing it. Yeah. I'll just give me a snippet. Like, what does that process look like? How do you do that?
So it's just branding, right? So if you strip the brand from a person, who are they? If you took away someone's name, their online presence, and they just walked right next, you have no idea who they are. But through branding, we're taught to, it's not that we're lying, right? You remember when you were building your resume and you were like, say you worked at McDonald's and you were like, I was the quality team member who could flip the most burgers and could work with my team, collaborate. You highlighted the greatest things about you. That's what we do in brand. We highlight and, we lift and accentuate, and we do all the things to make the best of you look really, really good. We make it where people really want to work with you. And there's no harm in that. It's, I can't always guarantee that my clients' products work. I have clients who have coaching programs. I don't talk to their customers. I have clients who I know wrote their own testimonials. Can I do anything about that? No. It happens all the time, more than you understand. People write their own testimonials. They don't tell me, but how I know is either what they're saying or the photos. As a designer, I know that they're stock photos. And I'll have that conversation with some clients. Like, there's someone in my mind right now that this just happened to. I won't say her name, but when she sent me her testimony, if you're going to use stock photos, you got to go to the bottom of the barrel, because these are used widely. You cannot use these. And then she comes. So, and I tell people too, like, when I'm working with clients and they don't have testimonies, I try to tell them, go and find people you've worked with, maybe not in this business, but just in general, colleagues, previous leadership, get those for now. But I can't stop fabricating things, but I can make it look really good. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I try to work with people who are more value driven, so it doesn't really happen very often. Back in the day, though, when I was focused on just the money, because I was trying to make ends meet, I was taking anybody. I have a client in mind right now. She ain't making no money, and she is big. She ain't making no money. She ain't making no money. Trust me. She paid us. If I would have known this, and I told her this at the end of our contract, she paid us out of her savings account. If I would have known that, her savings, I would have never taken her as a client. And now, she was the client that taught me to ask those qualifying questions about where you are financially in your business, because I will not be the business that makes you go out of business. So it's the unfortunate truth of what I do, but I just tell people, be sharp, be smart, understand if someone's telling you something, make them back it up. And with more, ask for references. What happened to references? If you're about to work with someone who's like a coach, can I talk to some of your past clients?
Yep.
Ask for references. But for some reason, we get swooped up by the branding and marketing. Oh my God, they've done big things. And look at these screenshots of their Stripe account and PayPal account. They're making so much. That stuff is fabricated. I don't do that stuff, but their designers do fabricate. And I can usually show you that it's fabricated. So just be careful. That's what I would say. Just be careful.
Okay. So a couple questions, I'll let you go. I know what's going on. I got it. I got a million of them. But there's a couple of, okay. So let's say I'm shopping for you. I'm shopping for you. I'm like, look, I know I suck at this marketing and branding thing, or I'm not good yet. Use affirming language. I could get better. I'm not good at it yet. Okay. And I know I need help. How do people go about the process of assessing whether or not you are a good fit for them and vice versa? And versus, because I know so many people right now who are paying folks $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 to do this work that you do, and they're getting worked. There's no work getting done. Like, talk to me. Like
the questions they ask. Simply put, the questions they ask. That's a really easy question. If the person gets on the call with like a whole deck and ready to sell you this package and doesn't even ask you about your business, where you are in business, doesn't ask you about what your products are, doesn't try to develop an understanding for themselves, and they just get on and sell to you, run away, because they don't care about your business. They don't care about your goals. I ask every single customer, what are your goals? Because I want to make sure I can help you meet them, period. If I don't ask that, which I ask every time, it's impossible. If I don't ask that, or if someone else doesn't ask you that, run. They don't care. They just want to take your money. They do not care. If they start, and I teach sales, right? And I teach consultations and all that stuff. And I have to remind people, if you start, let's say you want a website, and I just ask you, how many pages do you want? Okay, what pictures? What do you have content? Are you ready? Blah, 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 blah. And I just ask you all the things, the basic things of a website. And I never ask you, what's your business? How do you plan to drive traffic? What are your products and services? How long have you been in business? How many employees do you have? If I don't ask you those questions, I don't care. I just want your money. I just want to make sure I can do the job. Do you want someone who can do the job, or someone that can exceed your expectations, who can help you understand things that you didn't even know you didn't know? That's, to me, the difference. Depending on what your budget is and what you're looking for, you may work with the other person, and that's perfectly fine. But when you're looking for a partner, someone who's strategic, that can help you take this website and really your goal, right? Usually it is to get to the next level. And when they can take you there, that's what you need to look for. A lot of times when I did my own market research in my arena, I interviewed 9 different clients, and I asked them all, what are your goals, right? Regardless of working with me, it doesn't matter. What are your goals? It was all around growth and expansion. So I immediately knew that building the best looking website is not important. What's important is, how are you going to make me grow? How are you going to help so that I can expand? How can you help me scale? So now when I'm talking to someone, I understand that if that's the goal, I got to help you get you there. I can't just make a pretty site, because then no one comes to the site. And then you don't hit your goal. Pretty sites all day long don't get visited. There are sites that you've never seen, no one's looking at. They're not getting no traction, and they're gorgeous. So it's about,
I've seen them.
Yep, all the time. All the time. People spend nice money on them too. But I'm going to be the person to help you understand what can get you there, even if it's without me, what can get you there.
So you answered my next question to me is, what's your value prop? Of course, being in sales, you already knew to do that. I have to throw you the softball. You're like, look, y'all, this is what I do. How can people find you? They want to do business with you. How can they find you? Obviously, we're going to put your contact in the show notes, but give it to them here as well.
So the best way is going to be going to my site, which is Color Addict, KOLORADDIKT.com. And there's a pink pretty button at the top. It's pink for now, at least. This might be 6 years from now, who knows? But there's a pink button at the top that says book a discovery call or book online. Just click that and you get on my calendar. Let's have a conversation. That's it. It's simple.
Man, I got like a million more questions.
I'll be back.
Yeah, we got to bring you back. I got like a million more questions. I just love how genuine you are. And like you said, game recognizes game. From the first day I met her, she's serious. I'm going to be looking up in about 2-3 years. I'm going to be reading about this one. So I want to catch her on the come up. So when she blows up, she does not forget about Jawan Buford over here in the corner doing Next Opp. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Yes.